Okay. It's okay. More careless. Hi, good evening, Vijay Aditya.
Good evening, Vishnuvardhan, sir.
कोण सौर्य मग?
सौर्य नुसता. तुम्ही कोण आहे सौर्य?
हा सौर्य मग. एवढी वेट काय म्हणून 5 minutes आहे. वेट काय नाही. तुम्ही मुदला सेशन अटेंड केलं आज की विजय?
ಎಸ್ ಎ ಸೆಷನ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅಟೆಂಡ್ केले केवळ.
ओके ओके. ये मुदला आहे क्या?
हाय ते मुदला आहे तेगा मुदला आहे म्हणली होय अटेंड केलंस मी.
ओके ओके.
या
Hey, good evening. Quick नेगे chat work कर रहा है हमने check करो होगा कुंती. Sometimes chat work कर नहीं. Okay. Vijay, yes. Hi Kumaresh. Hello. Okay. Chat work कर रहा है. Good. Maybe I'm going few minutes wait करेंगे no. 7 हो गया but not many people are there. We'll wait for some time. तैयार बन गए.
2-3 minutes wait करेंगे.
Yeah. Okay. I think we can start.
Yeah. Start करेंगे क्या?
Sure.
I think we'll get going. जानकर सकता है. अस्मिन् नमस्कारः. Welcome to the Sourashtra Professionals series of workshop that we have in Kerala. 11 AI workshop. AI workshop is the 5th session. I'm told here. जो ये आम्ही या क्या 4 country पर है ना. The recording is available. I think interesting and yet recording is available. First of all, आम्ही और पत्ती वो quick and सांगू देते. Sourashtra Professionals आम्ही काय करणार म्हणजे we're all experienced professionals. Not only IT, all the professions, mechanical engineering, civil engineering, in fact, dentist, lawyers, assistants, etc. Idea कायमले how we can help each other in our career path. Tell us, okay? तुम जो कोई experience can say तुम help करवाइए. You need some help in your growth मने तुम help कर लो. तले हमारे उन forum में करिए. This kind of give and take मारी. Experienced team members रहते हैं. And all not everybody is successful, so we have also lost some places and learned a lot. Okay, and completely focus and a group focus in complete career growth. Similarly, जो कोई post करना ना, आजकल नए self discipline का ना, career related post करना. Okay, काय career में नहीं, I basically collaborating within our sourashtra community kiri, and कौन आविनो help करवाई मतलब प्लस. So in the workshop, example. कौन our AI technology पर कौन awareness ले होता है क्या गावंती हमें चले सकता है. And main करना job oriented message है ये. Support हम walk in interview चला रही हैं, यदि interview hire कर रहा थी, अतः our company hire करे तो post करेगी. It will be helpful for someone to reach out to me. तो हमारे हमें तला WhatsApp group में के लिए है. तला WhatsApp group में चैनल में लगी, तला खाला link दी रहा थी, तला Google Forms से तला fill up करना पड़ेगी. It'll separate can chat interface as well as email across to invite them so you can use this one. So it's about sourashtra process. We kaidi the group pati karana, we kaidi suggest can message kiro, or when we have question and answer session, you can post question. Okay. Hello, Vishnu. I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. I got us.
I got it, Vishnu.
Okay, fine. Okay, so the Sangadhana win, I mean, a workshop in on a series Harmangarin in the Avi Kadesi, Telamam Kadesi Musadaria. Ega Mudula, me avigino, how do we leverage AI in job search in the first session conduct career? So further, productivity improvement kona karwai AI through the day-to-day activities, be it content creation or video generation. Tella madri avigino, tella concept mari on the workshop conduct career. Tella giving phone and data security awareness avigudanga avannamna tavuchi third session career. Tella AI as a companion for software developer avigin the part the session can conduct career. Session we spoke more about coding. On the session we spoke more about design, testing, and other topics. Basically, SDLC phases. We have conducted these 4 sessions, and in there we advanced AI concepts and agentic AI. I mean, actually, AI based workshops, but later request technology, it is better if we have some workshops or awareness sessions conducted. Sourashtra helpful. For example, career cloud side shift where to start. A series of workshop start from 7th of June. Okay, already registration guche maybe message pura dhati udaya aur judna register karra ase to me like AI workshop, any of the workshop to me register karya as by default you will be considered for the cloud computing workshop also. You will get the invite when we plan. Tella me 7th June hanbangarage. Similarly, weekly once tella mari we plan girriya atha initial the workshop plan girriya for basics of cloud computing, so that Sikulatana first gun tella mudala kerala tanga it is useful gun drive na tuchi tella kerriya. However, to me already cloud said don't hesitate to join for the basic session also. To me dusaranga help kirwai. You can share your knowledge and expertise to help others. So like Giridhar Sanke, it is more of give and take mari. To me through expertise share kirwa. Similarly, others will share their knowledge. So that's the whole idea. Any specific feedback or question to me mail that mail id sourashtraprofessionals@gmail.com. I mean, easy full word without any space or hyphen, sourashtraprofessionals@gmail.com. Okay. Okay, so this is the workshop series what we are conducting today. We are completing the AI part. Okay, so in the Kai Sanjari Manasana, you know, LLM, I mean, large language models have in various use cases. Kona we application use करवाई मनाते हैं सीएंगे ना तो याद करें you know agent मनारे concept का है ये agent मनारे concept कौन हो तो चला real world examples कोला मारे we use case रहा है मनाते हैं सीएंगे ना तो याद करें you know the different framework I have prepared some demo also. So the framework pona work kare we can parallelly see some demo. We live execute kiri dekarasi. Tunga already avigin the link share kiri hode. The prerequisite document to meeting invite to you know. I have shared a link, Google link avigin diya. So telamam the code base pura available. So to be parallel gan avigin the prerequisite kiri hul parallel you can also execute and try. So to the kaidi question here and say we can help, and it is easier. Like you know, Google Colab directly and execute help local setup. So you can parallelly try to execute. The prerequisite ready observe what we are doing, and later to me Google Drive anyway code based right. Try. Okay, so this is the agenda for today. Okay, so first part LLM kona in application use karenge saying you know. What is the API? You might have come across the term API in your work, or you would have learned during your course, or you know different places. Some thought process about what is API and where and how it is used. Pongurikairi answer say API in
feel free to it's in I mean in practice session you know. So
unmute and you can tell your views or answers. Okay, fine, not an issue. So API concept time is application programmer interface API in so ella collad use karan at high level this application the interface point and exchange point and right to communicate in terms of data or information, some places even functionality exchange provide API create. So first of all, you know, application to application communication. Now we application programmer interface, but otherwise, ASCII they use current API's concept. You know, for example, to me within application module to module only API design karan. So that the modular architecture communication points are defined in high. Similarly, for example, me you know embedded programming karasna you know APIs. So the RTAS will provide APIs. You will use it. So it is not necessarily between various applications or various systems. It is a generic concept. Okay. So we consider it's a set of rules. Set of rules in computer programming in protocol. So why it is a protocol or a set of rules you know that defines the rhythm. For example, the different blocks of software handshake information exchange you know that sets the rhythm and process. So Telavuchi is a set of rules. When we have a set of rules, that is by definition, it is called a protocol. Then one of the category kind is REST API. REST API, we know it's a widely used API which is used in client server architecture. Between client and server communicate you know, REST API design. It is mainly working on HTTP protocol. Basically, the internet-based application interaction you know you can you know provide REST API for your application, or you can use if somebody is providing. For example, to me, you know, let's say your stock broker, then API provide karan. To me, in trade you know some data we can pull you know if you are trying to automate say you can use those APIs, those REST APIs to interact with that application. So it's one example. Okay. Similarly, our case in you know what we have seen so far in different workshops, LLM capabilities we use but we have mainly seen through its interface. For example, ChatGPT Gemini interface there a chatbot interface LLMs interact we pulled out information whatever we required by prompting. Okay, so programmatically our application use then we require this APIs. So mostly ASCII LLM, when I say all LLM, OpenAI and Gemini and DeepSeek or Claude, whichever, then we can APIs provide on a SDK software development kit on a wrapper, for example, Python wrapper, JavaScript wrapper. So Tella we use we can integrate in our application. That's the concept. Okay, so LLM again it is hosted somewhere and it is provided accessible through APIs for us. A typical architecture other back end, front end application different in the career, not necessarily always it can be together one block also. Okay, so one day block and user we see only the application perspective, and at the back end it will be communicating with our LLM through this REST API. Okay, example saying so it will be clear how it is being done. Okay, so let's on the simplistic architecture, any application you take, this is how it would be normally designed. And application it is not necessary it needs to be in your PC. This itself can be a cloud-based application. So the application corner immaterial, whatever is the form of the application, if you are communicating from one application to another application, another application it is communicating through REST API. Typical architecture how it is working. So Groq platforms so mention it is not GROK, it is GROQ. GROK Groq it's a different AI recently, I mean few months back it is launched by Elon Musk. So GROQ this is a cloud platform where the hosting of LLMs are done. Okay, so Groq sophisticated models HANA. First of all, sophisticated model HANA, lighter models, right? It's like a page that is face and everything, but at the same time inference is faster. Okay, and another main advantage time is free credits. Then any user to login create you will get a free credit with which you will be able to use those APIs. And non application bill can learn free credit limit is more than sufficient. So they provide the Python SDK. So I mean Python access documentation link how to use it. I have already elaborated in the prerequisite. Nevertheless, to me Groq on login account create to me login carry on a API key generate karna. So the API key that becomes your identity when you communicate through the APIs. So through Google Colab the secret key and name store whatever example I have prepared, I have made it in a way that it will use this API key and communicate to the Groq. Okay, so tell us anybody any specific questions so far? Concept of API or LLM usage? Okay, so feel free to interrupt me if you have some question. Okay, so Groq website developer console. The API key oh, sorry. I think I'm not logged in. Give me a minute. Right. So here we have. So the API key is we already on the API key generate kerigin preserve tool. So element to me say the limits ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡೆಲ್ ಪೂರ ತಿನ್ನವಿಗಿನ್ ಅದಾದ್ರು ಎಲ್ಲ ಫ್ರೀ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಅವೈಲಬಲ್ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಪೇಗೆರಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಕರೇನ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ other one which is paid access, but ಎಲ್ಲ ಇವಿಗಿನ್ ಫ್ರೀ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ಮಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಕರರಿಯ ನಿಮಗೆ ಸ್ಯಾಸನಸ್ಯ ಏಡವಿ ಇನ್ನು ಲಾಮಾ ಮಾಡಲ್ಸ್ ಮೇನ್ಲಿ ಹೈ ಲಾಮಾ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅದರ ಮೆಟಾ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ಫೇಸ್ಬುಕ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಕಿರಿಯ ಮಾಡಲ್ ಪೈತಂಗ ಲೇಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ ಹಾಲ ಪ್ರವಿನ್ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಕೋನ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಟಿ ನಮ್ಮಸ್ಯ ಅದ ಲಾಮಾ ವರ್ಷನ್ 3.3 3.1 ಬರಸತ್ತ ಎಲ್ಲ 70B 8B 9B ದಕರಿಗೆ those are the size of the model. For example 70B ಅಂದ್ರೆ 70 billion parameter model ಎಲ್ಲ 8B ಅಂದ್ರೆ 8 billion parameter model. So what it signifies is ಆಮೆ ಮೊದಲ ಸೆಷನ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಮೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ಸನ್ಸಿ ಅವಿಗಿನ parameters ಅವಿಗಿನ್ it is capturing the nuanced information of the training data ಅನ್ನೋರಿಗೆ. So ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾದರಿ ಅವಿಗಿನ 70 billion parameters ಅವಿಗಿನ these are the llama 3.3 or llama 3 models are available to be mainly teller high heljadige deep-seek digital llama amli diran 70 billion model. So you can use it. What you'll have to notice to maybe in request per minute limit diran heljadige request per day tokens per minute avi everything is limited. Okay, so this you have to keep in mind. For example to me on application jam bill kenna hore telaga limit punna amane then you'll have to buy their credit to maybe pay kerigin additional credit kalli use karo. So for today's demo purpose angavigin ella pujjai even to me learn karatagni ella sufficient and high. Okay, so this is about Groq platform. To begin, I will show you the directory where I have preserved this code base. Okay, the link begin already among Diria. However, I will put it again in the chat. In parallel, try I will put it in the chat. So, yella code base first Groq API in the Python file create. So IPython notebook, if you are aware of Python, yella Jupyter notebook concept IPython notebook manariya one information ramness yella tumi avin iterator execute karwai because Google Colab phone work करे तुरा space तुरा user space में execution करेंगे ये रीति में open करेंगे मार read only गन खाली तुरा execution space में तुरा user space में execute करेंगे उनका so नहीं मना सनस्या you can make a copy of this content in your Google Drive later तुम्हें update करना edit की try करता तुम्हें copy कर लो आई so नहीं मना ये लग complete कर तुरा local हम तुम्हें copy कर लेंगे ना
वो विष्णु sorry interrupt विष्णु Jupyter देखा ले सकते हैं आमी इतने सारा नहीं morning
नहीं Jupyter और ये नहीं मैं आमुदला Google Drive देख लो
okay
I mean just explaining illa IPython notebook manariya file type avi it's a Jupyter notebook Python notebook so thura localum VS code Jupyter hedimli lecture execute karwai whichever way you want to execute locally or you want to execute in Google Cloud wherever you want you can execute it we are directly in Google Cloud open this Google Colab the Google Colab open karatol it opens as a Python notebook. You are able to see the caras may share keri na sakani
to the caras
okay I will zoom it a little if you want readable and high
font will be this is better
okay so basically kai kirena say on Python code I have just prepared to show the usage of Groq API Groq में हम LLM use करता कौन अभी use करवाएं नहीं simple example just to demonstrate how do we prompt and how do we get an output first ಎಲ್ಲ pip install initiate किया तो तुम्हें local हम क्या रहे हैं समस्या ಎಲ್ಲ every time करता वैसे once तुम्हें install कितना रहा Google Colab में तुम्हें install क्या रहे हैं तो session मुझे disappear हुई है temporary मादरी so every time you'll have to install okay so it will take a little while for installation main gun use करे library पूरा अभी pre installed गन दिडम Google Colab में ये हमारे specific library पजा पड़ता है अभी ओको all अभी session हम ममो pip install करना okay so तेजा काय करे जमना सनसे अभी ना हम just import करी मुझे ना ये क्या सनसे I have pulled out from my user data तेला अभी ये key store कर रही है मैं ये key क्या सनसे अभी ना I have stored all my API keys here so this will be person specific थोड़ा login थोड़ा secret key गनर है ला दूसरा का visible गन रहना okay so ada ಮೇಲೆ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಕರತೋಳು ಮೊರ ಯೂಸರ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಅಂದ್ರಿ ತಲ ಗ್ರಾಕ್ API ಕೀ ಕಳ್ಳಿನೋ ಒಂದು ಎನ್ವಿರಾನ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ವೇರಿಯಬಲ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಕಿತಿ ದೆನ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಅ client object. Okay, so Groq manariyavigin it is provided by this library. Okay, so tela Python library tela install keldi tela andre ami onda client object create kitriya. Okay, so it is asking for access tela secret key access kelli agirku sariya. Okay, so tumi execute karado turo key thui tumi execute kara, so it will take from your credit. Okay, so atavigino let's see mi kaigare first on the prompt kaigare idi in the date again just without year again in the date the 15th of May what is the speciality ni posatavuchi. Okay, so this is the way how I am prompting. Okay, I mean chat GPT again prompt type karare bodalo here I am giving as a prompt message. Okay, I am giving the prompt text and I am invoking this API. So now client manariyaving Groq API client, so tellama mavigin ella particular model mavigin invoke karanjari Llama 3.3 70 billion versatile model I'm going to invoke and get the output. So it's very simple. Like what's special about today in sense? Yeah, it is talking about International Day of Families, National Chocolate Chip Day, Buddha Day. These are the specialities of May 15th. It is giving me an answer. So I mean programmatically, for example, to me think it is not about this particular question. Other application LLM capability you will be able to use these APIs to invoke the LLM. Okay, to me prompt query the answer then you can process it further. Okay, I mean this is purely talking from the pre-trained data. Okay, I mean later the ChatGPT Gemini brasias additional capability dihan. So ChatGPT as such with LLM on the chat interface or it that itself can be considered as an agent. Agent I'm later saying, so LLM pre-trained information and it is giving its a response. Okay, so for example the dusra wo machikenna what I have done is here one day on the prompt kirre. Okay, instruction DD prompt kusna. I mean prompt engineering last session we spoke about it. Adavadu me on a clear instruction DD prompt output better kanavai. We saw that. So same thing applies here also. I mean LLM pungut I mean kolla VM access when you think about giving a clear instruction, then you will get a better output. Okay, the way how you want. So the instruction I can define a role called system. Okay, so to me format same on a list create multiple message me append javai. So me system role on a content instruction respond to this question then I'll ask what is AI. Okay, so it is giving me an answer saying that AI artificial intelligence is a development computer system which is helping in learning, problem solving, technique use it is purely getting into the technicality of it. Okay, so me instruction juku specific in theory respond to this question for example respond with list of questions ಅதாவது ನೀವು ಸರಿ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಸಂಗನೋಗ ಬದಲಿಗೆ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಪೂಸ್ಕಿರಿ ಸಂಗಿದ್ರಿ ಮಿ ಓಕೆ ಸೊ ಅದ ಸೇವಿ then it is asking more questions probing me what I want to know about AI. Okay, so this is more like how do we achieve this prompt engineering in terms of API we are getting to see. So you can give some specific instruction and accordingly the same model responds in a different way. Okay, so
Vishnu,
this is
one second. One pause करेंगे. Our group कौन नला use कर रहा था? Vishnu's recommendation to me on the go you can follow him in Sangria. The link there Vishnu the link काम कर रहा था तुंगा. Can use कर रहा थी. Hand raise करो or just message. It will be very helpful. An idea by how hands-on हम के plan कर रहा है. You can same साथ में. It's very easy. All you have to do is click. Once you get whole CVS code you just get an extension, get going.
So far, one to the hand raise karra se.
Okay. Good.
Okay. So this is an information for us. I mean, further, next workshop series, we are thinking to make more hands-on madri. So this will be helpful if you are following it, and of course later.
Hello, now Kumaresh. Just 1 minute. Can I interrupt?
Sango.
Hey, Mogo, AI mode agent AI karta mode ideas hai. So if anybody is interested in trying out with whatever tools Vishnuvardhan is teaching, I have a project idea or a product idea to develop a agentic AI for sales, for B2B sales. So for the interest here, they can reach out to me.
Sure. What I would suggest, Kumaresh, to maybe session you can little bit elaborate and through contact number or mail ID, it will be easier for two people to reach out to you. Okay. Our WhatsApp group set there. Sourashtra
invitation already the second session attend
Okay.
Third, fourth attend
say no problem. So sure, you can to me WhatsApp group easier to reach out to people. However, through contact.
Yeah, if people reach out to me, I will send out sales expert consultancy Chennai with a complete whole year. Okay, I will send a message. It's okay.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, fine. So I will continue further. So far, any question for anybody? Even if not about execution, conceptually, something if it is not clear, you can ask. Okay, fine. Open router, similar to Groq, more like an aggregator. Open router it has more varieties. For example, Groq very limited area. Open router, it's aggregator, meaning that will channelize to various platforms. Whereas Groq, they have their own cloud hosting of LLMs for inference. So that's why limited options are high. Open router, you will find more. I mean, purpose is similar. Okay, fine. At the next Kai example saying maybe instruction Kai a sentence continue 50 words can carry them. Okay. So Kai sentence there is starting point on a busy rainy evening when I was returning incomplete statement. Okay, so we wanted to see how it is completing and how it is making 50 words. Okay, similarly, model 3.3 I have used Llama 3 model use. Another thing what I'm doing is I'm putting in a loop. Basically, on Kai try consistent our scan. Okay, so multiple loop if I'm repeatedly asking the same prompt, same model gives slightly different answer. Of course, when I was returning already starting point. Okay, the model complete sentence form returning from work start something like accidentally met us in the crowded street romantic statement says on the little cafe umbrella it is going into a loop with different ways of writing. Okay, this is the what I would say it's a crux of generative AI. Repeatability. Okay, so it is generating based on some probabilistic model. Every time different path okay, kona generate so simple in same statement in same instruction. I'm just looping 5 times and seeing the output. Okay, whereas temperature parameters actually one of the session question and puse for example me 0 and set kiri, I will repeat the same. Okay, so after same thing repeatedly sangare. Okay, so for example 0 temperature dusra model it might come different output, but it will have the repeatability. त्याला कावची important म्हणून say आम्ही आता तुम्ही on application develop कररा असेल हे say some solution you want to develop म्हणतो on a problem statement solve कराई होय ओको मारी creative solve केले हारे नको मगा भी नोटे मारी पाहिजे म्हणून say temperature parameter you can utilize it. Okay, and how it is completing it is purely depending on the training of that model. ಅದೆಲ್ಲ model train ಗೆರ data ಮವಿಗಿನ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾರಿ sentence ವೆನ್ಸೆ அடுத்த word probability ಅವಿಗಿನು it is guessing that returning ಮಿನಾವೆ ಅದಾವುದು evening returning ಮಿನಾವೆ ಸೆನ್ಸೆ home ಅವನ ಮಾರಿ ಎಲ್ಲ model train ಹಿಗಿದೆ. Okay, तुम्ही ओदी मुलाविगिनो ಒಂದಾಗಿ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಒಂದ ಟ್ರಿವಿಯಾ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಕನಾವೆ ಗಾಯಮನ ಸೆನ್ಸೆ ಅವಿಗಿನು ಒಂದ AI ಕಾನ್ಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಗೆ ಸಂಬರ್ Prime Minister many of the left hand liquor Madrid on a picture ready and said it cannot kill. It is exactly this point. We pre-trained it has something inside and it is going like that. Okay, so to me, temperature 0 set they have same hour, but otherwise to me temperature we try it will not deviate a lot, so it will go in the trained pattern only. Okay, so this is what the significance of this temperature parameter. Then kai sila say completion chat completion kona gona again different we use karta musai kete we are checking this. Okay, so at for example I so far say again prompt area me output khalariya adu dunga nijamo application develop kenani kai jonda solution use karna manatala you would end up creating a pipeline. Correct, yeah, adavadu pipeline manari konamna sena sequence of action kelle jana manatal kona kervai. Okay, so again I have not really taken some industrial kind of scenario, simple on a fun scenario madri see adavudhu we first kaigaranjaram say similarly continuation carry 200 words continuation care minti on a loop unde intala mottham capture kerudare. Okay, so let's see what it does. Okay, so similarly, I'm giving a instruction, continue the sentence and make it 200 words. AI is changing the tech landscape at a stage. Here pushes and say, three different options where human-computer interactions are being revolutionized. One option area. It would have given some other 24/7 support option. So similarly, it has generated 3 different options, each having 200 words. Okay, so tell me that I am giving it again to summarize and take 5 key points out of it. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of creating a pipeline. Okay, mudula AI on a process carry on output the output further I'm putting it to AI. To real world consider some operation is done or some processing of your data is done or on output then you are doing some additional value addition to that data and then you are putting it again to the AI in the next step manamari khalvai. So adella kerising kai sangasni adami on just starting point dd thin flavor gun thin different output continuation ready thing. Then I am asking to summarize the key points in 5 different or 5 key points. Okay, so tell us yes the overall text key message summarize AI is revolutionizing the human interaction, human computer interaction. Chatbot पर कौन help करेगी? How it has become indispensable tool in business career. It has summarized from that text. Okay, so this is a quick example of how we can utilize the LLM programmatically in our application development. In Python, similarly, then for example, this was a platform. It might have given the binding the Python bodula JavaScript layer high. So different SDK you can integrate in your application to bring the AI capabilities in your application. Clear so far? உங்களுக்கு काही questions है? Okay, fine then. So we'll go ahead. All right. Okay, so agent ada Kumaresh ko say agent kona begin build kerwa matlab conceptually kaayam we can see first I have some examples. Okay,
Just 1 second. So me little late can join Kerita. So first at the Musade have prompt engineering, yeah? Like coin topic.
அதாவது ப்ராம்ப்ட் இன்ஜினியரிங் ஓவரால் செஷன் நம்ம கெரியேನಿ ப்ராம்ப்ட் இன்ஜினிಯರಿಂಗ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಸೆಷನ್ ಕೆರೆಯ ಅದೇ ಮೊದಲ ಸಂಖ್ಯೆ ಕಾಯಮನೆನ್ಸೆ ಅವೇನು ಒಂದ LLM ಅವೇನು API ಥವಿ ಕೋನತ್ರ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಕೊರಾಯ ಮತ ಉಚಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್
Okay.
LLM so far ami ಮೊದಲ ಸೆಷನ್ ಮಸ್ಕಿದ್ಮಾ ಮೆಂ ಸೀರಿಯ ಕಾಯಮನೆನ್ಸೆ ತರ ಚಾಟ್ ಇಂಟರ್ಫೇಸ್ ಚಾಟ್ ಬಾಟ್ ఉంది ಜೆಮಿನಿ ఉంది ಅವೇನು we were using the chat interface. So to me the program use करना मनतळवे you are not going through that chat window or the UI थवी कररियना. So programmatically Python and direct to me कोना API invoke करी LLM capability use करवाय मत उची Groq platform थवी we saw some example.
Okay then.
Okay.
Thanks.
So further we will see agents and concept ka.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Any other question for anybody? Okay. So
hello Ji. My name is Kumaresh. Question kayamaladi timi atala Groq tholi example dekadaya. Is the same thing applicable for like open tele platform it must be similar, right?
Everything is very similar conceptually. Tunga kolla difference avayamna sanse avino I mean tumi the programmer point of view think kerasna code main difference avayamna sanse API we ro difference rahi. Groq providing API tela Python library Gemini API difference right. Groq and OpenAI are very similar. Adu tumi explore keri series kona sangam nanse OpenAI API like ni sangam. OpenAI na first vidana jukku famous hai. So then there API sonu savi everybody tries to provide. So that tunga integration easy and high thing. So tela explicit kanu sangan. OpenAI madri am there API kiri. For example DeepSeek it is similar to OpenAI. Groq almost similar. Gemini is different. Okay, so programming point of view. Model what is provided is different. Gemini models capability different and high, pricing different and high. Groq Llama models there capability different and high. May further agent example Gemini also I have used. I'll show the examples.
Oh, okay, Ji. Like on that, like quick related question. So like so this is a like different service provider area. Or within the same service provider, we can use a different model. So then also the API can change, right?
API change hona. Tunga service provider tella same API package to model now mottum model ID di now di diran tella mottum machi use karata mari da.
Okay, got it.
Of course, thank you. Difference tunga konguda vayamna sanasya tumi ada I mean mostly like example language capability text to kirge. If you are thinking multi-model image hedi audio kennamna sanasya take a set of APIs taniyan didan. Kanutuna response image ganavai response audio ganavai or your prompt itself can be an image. So third API would be different between text and image. But within text, model to model, same service provider will not have any difference in API.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Okay. So let's see the AI agent. Before that, so far question and answer think Gen AI or LLM kona use question and answer. Question answer prompt badal. Okay. Of course, we saw various examples of how do we pull out the capability of LLM in this session. What do you think? I mean, if you are thinking beyond Q&A, AI or LLM specific what it can do, how it can be useful for us. Anybody, any thought?
That question repeat keraya.
ಅದು ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಪುಸಿ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಸಂಗರಿಯ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಟಿಪಿಕಲ್ గా ನಾವು ಯೂಸ್ कररे chat GPT है Gemini है beyond question and answer where else LLM can be useful, large language models can be useful and how it can be useful,
like automate karata.
Okay,
so basically we can build an application using the LLM, right? Like as big as we want.
Okay, yeah, in a way yes. Angun precise concept na maybe.
questions pusata barlu gonta set of data musayya. Tele data discrepancies code semani sangi manata musayya. It's not my answer. Me on question pusarda tvejolo. Lesana kerai mana majuko useful right?
I have an example. Tele demo keride plus. I have prepared one example around it. Data analysis mechanics in yes, data analysis in the okay. So let's see what it means actually. Okay. So I'm having, you know, LLM, what we okay. Running it see, first of all, me the Groq the Karator Sange 9 billion, 8 billion model, 70 billion model, you know. So smaller the model, machine learning, you know, size immaterial model size immaterial. But whereas when you come to LLM, Gen AI, you know, model size is kind of equivalent to its capability, because the model, you know, the parameters it is capturing the nuanced information of training data method. Bigger the model, better the performance in terms of quality of output. So to you know, motta model local host laptop even if you have some high-end laptop, it will struggle. Okay, but it is possible. Technically, it is possible. To me later when I explore Ollama on the Ollama.com, right? So what they do is you can install that engine locally. Okay, so telama you know, tela model binary picture with the open source model pura dina, be it Llama model or DeepSeek or whatever, tela dira no to be tela picture in local host use kirwai. Okay, so laptop the engine install the model just work. Maybe I'll quickly show that. No. Ollama vegan LS. This is what is Ollama. Okay, so Ollama you know, there are models. Okay, DeepSeek is a open source model. For example, OpenAI they don't give their source. Of course, then a palaya model GPT-2 pura vegan diran OpenAI open source in diran. Whereas other no model pura you know, they give it through their interface, either free or paid. Open source. Whereas DeepSeek R1 pura you know, it's highly sophisticated model given as open source. Adu tumi adavi you know, Ellamam say DeepSeek R1 satakayi. Okay, so this is downloadable from Ollama. Similarly, there are other platforms who will provide it. Kona use Ollama engine you know, through laptop or server install kellunna. You know, a model then it will start behaving like your LLM. I mean, one of the API use kar. Similarly, API use kar. Adami Groq API hit kari use kar. Inference is being done in Groq cloud. Whereas Ollama engine to me install you know, whichever model you want. See, to Jamamli sata, Quen sata, Llama models, Llama 3.3 actually sir. 70 billion I mean Groq use kar. So that you can host it locally and use it. What you will have to see is a model size, you know, you can see the 70 billion model, 43 GB. Okay, so this is not a storage space. A proportionate can thicker RAM budget. And moreover, if you have CPU, it is not going to work. The laptop, you know, NVIDIA GPU, then you can try it out. But however, be mindful of the size. For example, the 20-25 GB in RAM. So that's why it is not practical to run LLM in your PC. Instead, most of the time it is cloud-based in use. You know, it is huge set of infrastructure. Local, I mean, companies can server tholi can. I mean, individual level practical model output quality most. Okay, so that's the concept. Okay. So this is one part, and since we spoke about other possibility, I will show you Huggingface. Explore Huggingface thing, no? Anybody?
Just on a quick related question to the previous idea. So the model I mean local can host carry run so suppose if I want to explore one particular model, there are cloud offering, like I can pay some money to certain cloud provider and use load that model.
till like inference to the specific model host kartave, I think there are ways. I think even Huggingface only, they provide some dedicated hosting for you. Tell CrewAI, but to me as an individual or small company or a team, more practical would be to use what is already hosted. For example,
Okay.
OpenAI to me model khali use karasanavi 4 mini demo only 4 mini use kiri the 4 normal chat करते हुए 4 हमों इला 4 mini जड़े 4 or 4 mini itself has a lot of capability. Okay, for OpenAI 4 mini model to me per million token 15 cents 20 cents, so it's cheap. When if you compare with the DeepSeek, DeepSeek R1 is much more cheaper. Okay, and some providers, for example, Ola companies, their cloud, it's called CrewAI. So Telamon they have models like DeepSeek models they have posted and given for dead cheap prices. Of course, introductory offer in a few months, per million token, I think some 2 rupees, 3 rupees. Telamari offer February offer, March offer. So there is a huge competition. So prices are coming down, or it has already come down. Practical is Fona. Okay, but
okay. Well, maybe I may have a lot more questions. Probably I will wait it later because like I'm still new to this AI stuff.
No problem.
So
later we can reach out through mail and we can clarify also. Not an issue.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
Damo on the question sata to me DeepSeek abhi open source mane niya. So open source mane kaimla ami license pura abhi pay carries khalna ya.
No. Delayed. DeepSeek model is open source. It is available here. Other DeepSeek R1 I can download. Okay. So the maximum 671 billion parameter model set. That also is free. I can simply download it. Kagauchi maybe use karadi in human yella resource avadana. Okay. To me DeepSeek 1.5 billion parameter model is 1.1 GB size. Okay, so it is not, for example, to maybe some Windows-based application download can use size 1 GB. You won't worry because it is going to take storage space in your hard drive, RAM khalna. Whereas a model pura it is proportionate. At least haddu mukal size RAM so it is not practical to use it, though it is open source. What others are doing, for example, is cloud platform inference provide through charge.
Okay. Okay. And
one question to Banu. Banu, a question. Open source actually you are a user, right? You are going to use the APIs. You don't want to download the entire DeepSeek. What's the requirement? Use case
Nidata actually aski open sources na prefer karariya. So they go cheese the open source kamna jukko AI models the open source maudriya. So in pay carry khadata bolu the open source use karariya we avanga advantages na they cheese
Okay, Sunny said even OpenAI is also free, but to some extent, if you want the premium support, you have to pay. So, that's how it is. When you are getting into the AI technology, you need more features, so you have to go for a premium model. It's quite reasonable so far.
One more question. So the data pro konada atavi ami tenga models pro use karariya. So tami prompt there asi so our data pro code ji store hoi ami own karariya dbeam store hoi ki nimna tenu use kalanya tala models avi train kellatala
data maybe API use karakai niya se chat interface use karakai. This is something I mean multiple times we discuss kare time maybe.
Okay da workshop
no problem. I quickly repeat. Prompt karare information how secure it is there is no guarantee. Okay. So for example, to me Gemini API key generate they would have clearly given saying that to be free tier use we might use your data, your prompts for our training. When you are using the premium, we will not use it. Okay. So that is not explicit in every service provider. At the same time, the navi am use karre he manade mulli avi how far they stick to it mate avar hal saatham sna. So which are the corporate gaigaran mana sense avi they will have a specific contract with this service providers so that the data is not exposed outside. So tellada secured personal use kartol we will have to go by what they say. The Gemini pegiri khalla sense they will not use my data because then clear the statement we will have to go by that.
Okay, but ana but avanga kalana maybe some data then use Keravai.
Use Keravai. That we cannot we cannot guarantee, or as an individual we don't have a say in that. I mean even kona thinking namna senasya I mean sensitive data bharat jana tamari generic anus use karata mari we'll have to see. Okay, or bits and pieces kandana. So that bigger picture is never revealed.
Okay.
So quickly I will show this Huggingface portal. Okay, Huggingface is I think 1.5 year we gradually started gaining traction. So it is kind of a community space where people build models in use then most of the models here are free. Okay, so there are some licensed models also, but as a model LLM we have to be clear that LLM specific I will show you. You can see there are 1.7 million models. Okay, so then segregate category wise. For example, computer vision models, natural language processing, audio, multi-model across text and image. There are 2 different dimensions, multi-model, audio and text, combination. So there are 1.7 million models. For example, at the beginning, easier one I'll take zero-shot classification. So I will go for the most downloaded one. Okay, so some 400 models are there for zero-shot classification. At the Facebook bot model, basically to be very specific task. It might rain today. What I'm saying is classify it whether it is a weather report, weather key, sorry, even a news key, sports. Category okay, so it will just do that computation. Of course, sometimes slow and high. Probability 84% weather related information to Sangiria. Sentence. 15% it is about news. 2% chance that it could be about sports. It is Angariella. So what it is doing is basically it is classifying my sentence or to me what a sentence other, for example, sentiment analysis for application. User feedback pura sentiment analysis to me classify care. So specific models are available. For example, use this model in transformers. Okay, transformer it is inference, way of inference, like using the model direct on the Python transformer use model invoke it will run in your application as part of your application itself. Okay, so the files we can see the size, how much it is. Of course it is there, like some 4-5 GB is there. Full-fledged run it is still practical to use this specific purpose models. Most of this model given in Huggingface free. So directly can download use high. So through application need versatile specific you can try out this also to answer your question. Open source CrewAI ellam sathe CrewAI elange khadli to evaluate kelli use karna tumgo nijamu suit horas kya evaluate keri then you can use it. Okay, I think we are going away from the topic, so I'll come back. Okay, so what we were saying is the thinking beyond we have to think in the notion of system. LLM has many capabilities. Natural language various capabilities are there. We'll have to see how do I put together to make it as a system. What do I mean as a system? For example, a real world problem industry society is the problem or business problems, you know, we solve when you think we are putting in the perspective of system to use this as a capability block. Okay, so that's where the thought process changes from Q&A to what do we see as a solution. Okay, so natural language, logical reasoning, we have explored in various use cases before. Job search, how do I use it for programming or content creation? Content creation, we also see the we also saw the image capabilities here. So you know, how do I put it in the right combination to make a solution? I think you know, it is starting point of your application development. Okay, examples and capability, I can turn it into this kind of a system. You want an example, you know, you can think of some B2B business solution or marketing campaign which you use some other example, what you have seen or what you have come across. AI capability, this is the system I have come across or seen. You have to tell me what capability is that. Anybody? Okay, fine. So the image recognition or image analysis capability, Huggingface says there are various type of image related models. Okay, so those models, those capabilities, when we put into a solution and system perspective, that's when we get to see this traffic surveillance or monitoring system. For example, Bangalore, you know, launch career on the AI-based solution. You know, sometime back it was news. Successful than maybe than Hibro basically you know, the signal the camera just monitor muting. For example, yella bondi number helmet drive seat belt jaras you know, identify you know, direct shortlist so that traffic police scrutiny chalan issue find out. So the capability, you know, it is turned into a system. Okay, so tell an example. Tell you the language and pattern recognition, network analysis capability. You know, we get to see this fraud detection or spam alert system. So that is a system. Okay, so now we are thinking from capability to solution. Okay, so let me main and kai you know, how do we think purpose-driven application of AI? Okay, AI can do many things. Purpose driven think key point. Okay, so go further. AI agent. Now we are getting into the concept of AI agent. Okay, AI agent is nothing but a software block. It's an application. Neither application on a part on a block. Okay, main element we are going to build it for a specific purpose. Okay, LLM is very versatile. That's what we have seen. We have kept seeing in multiple places. Very versatile, very generic. It can create art. It can create, let's say, some logical reasoning. It can do many things. I mean, specific purpose of use you know, starting point of AI agent. Okay, so that's where these blocks are becoming gradually into agent motion. Okay, just an information they summarize tell a point of view I'm achieving decision maker with minimal intervention, you know, actions trigger tell a notion you know, that starts becoming AI agent. Okay, to me again various tech forum I think Satyanadala Sangayam. In future, there will not be SaaS, it will be replaced by agents, of course. To some extent, it's exaggerated counter views. But basically, you know, when we make agents, okay, so it can do a specific job. It can be any job. So we'll see some examples also. You know, we can bring that thought process. We can see some examples. Okay, so this is what is, in short, AI agent. Okay. So, all key characteristics, first, specialization, role-based. You do anything, AI agent build meaningless. Of course, the purpose of chatbot, generic purpose chatbot, that's a different story. But to me, to a business problem, solve industry use you have to make it very specific, specialized AI building block. Okay, so that is a key characteristic. First one. Tell you the autonomous control. I mean, prompt kiri tella we na काम करले जा रहे सुमर we no on a set of objective DDS and say tella काय करना पड़ेगा tella autonomous can करले जाना. Okay, for example, तुम्ही आता data analyze करना मरास. Okay, याला data खल्ली मुदला we clean gear. tell you the clean gear तो मैंने से कौन करना मनी कड़ा या याला मारी करना. याला मारी we empty space पूरा we तो default वाली fill करना गिरी. मी prompt kiri करता सुमर we mo कौन वजह में से और data दिए से tella we cleaning बत्ती tella I should have already given some specific instruction and objective. Analyze report generate it should be autonomous. It should not keep waiting for my instruction or it should not wait for my prompt. Okay, adaptive. For example, I mean data in the more data I can give it a CSV. Later SQL or JSON format, whatever. It should be able to adapt itself. Okay, so I mean think adaptive context aware. Job the context information available. So these are the key characteristics of what makes an AI agent. From AI capability, we are thinking into AI agent. The concept clear? Any question? Okay, fine. So key elements. First and foremost. Yeah, Sangu.
Let's say I have a idea. For example, if I ask a question like, can I have vertical farming in Sahara Desert? Me know the question the Will it be able to provide answers? More intervention. Hana tagavi teles kanavi like say just an idea. So will it be?
For example, let the element in after a statement I'm putting it in two different elements. First I am say Sahara Desert well known, let's say geography and climatic condition well known. Vertical farming well known concept. Okay, so it is highly probable that this information is already part of pre-trained. Okay, it can give an answer. Whereas anga code like problem I mean real application anga specific for example on a specific on the area to be same vertical format, let's apply for some small village in Karnataka. Telaga information have a chance ni. Tela geography, tela climatic condition or logistic support say tela pura information pre-trained model have a chance ni. Vertical farming concept to me information for feed you have to provide channels to it. You have to provide mechanisms where it can access. So to me task in pirchi dinna. Mudula geography study climatic condition study logistics study to sangi geography allergy sa then it can do the job.
So I'll have to have multiple agents here then?
Yes. Multiple agents or one agent with multiple capability. That is purely your architectural choice for the agentic system.
Okay, got it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So, your Padani. SQL specific agent here. So super table SQL I understand. Huggingface to me there are specialized models built for text to SQL conversion that I have seen, but what I have also seen is the output when pramadangan hodirani. Okay, so तुम्ही evaluate केली सवय दुसरं model evaluate केली सवय agent you can build it. I mean, going forward in this training, we will see there are frameworks to easily get started build AI agent. Backend model is important. Okay, backend the model. For example, you can configure, let's say, OpenAI or the free models. What you see in Huggingface, you can configure it. I can build an agent. Or maybe there are some agents. I don't know. I'm not really explored SQL specific agent to say SQL specific models at the you can explore that. Okay, so key elements of AI agents first and foremost, autonomous and goal-driven. What it means is we need reasoning ability for the AI agent. Okay, what we have seen extensively in various use cases, LLMs have a reasoning ability, even if you are taking non-reasoning models. For example, DeepSeek R1 is a reasoning model. OpenAI O1, O3 reasoning models. Whereas Tunga model, the Llama 3 70 billion parameter. Every model, if it is an LLM, it has to some extent reasoning ability. So that is what is the key ingredient for making it autonomous and goal driven. Okay, so that's why we have the key element as LLM. Okay, there are tools at the vertical farming, which is a question. Okay, specialized purposes AI agent specialized. Specialization comes with special abilities. Okay, AI or LLM provides a generic ability. First generic ability LLM which has reasoning ability, which I am capturing and tapping it, and on top of it, I am going to add some tools to make it specialized. Okay, special purpose, special ability. Okay, for example, you can make a tool to access a database. You can make a tool to analyze an image. Okay, so telamari tools delay it becomes your specialized kanhore. Okay, they also say the real world problem solve karathum say. They have knowledge based. LLM is pre-trained. Anga specific knowledge. For example, maybe to a company policies, if you want to make a chatbot for your induction, new employee induction or new team member induction, there you want to give a chatbot to them, which can talk about your company policies and process procedure. That knowledge base need to be given to the agent. Otherwise, the company policy take on. Okay, so LLM tools knowledge. Thin ingredient kitriya. Out a missing point to putting it together, we need a framework. Okay, so what we are saying is we are thinking one agent, and when we have a framework, it would be easier for me to put these elements together. Implement if I want to make an agentic AI architecture, multiple agent, different specific purpose agent put together, they are going to work. It can be multi-agent system. Many occasions, what we say is, one agent to give too many objectives that multiple agent can interact easy. The specific job correct. What are the too many things it will get lost. Okay, so there are frameworks because this agent need to collaborate among themselves, and agent itself is being built based on some predefined set of mechanisms. Okay, so that's why we need framework. Is the concept clear? So why and what of each key element? Okay, so I'll go ahead. The architecture what we have seen is these three ingredients, main ingredients, form an AI agent. Okay, so LLM tools and knowledge base, definitely it is required. Of course, these two, interchangeable in use that purpose for tool knowledge base knowledge base tool high, so it's a different call, the design call. Okay, so this three form together an AI agent. That's one possibility. Architecture think AI agent peer to peer. There are two collaborating agents. Okay, in between there is a feedback loop. Okay, criteria kono menasanse avi, for example, it has a specific job. Okay, so they both have two different responsibilities. Just imagine, like, you know, there is a software developer and there is a software tester, real life. Okay, so developer carry the thala, you know, tester avi test carry feedback the area, then he corrects it and then he cross checks again. Once he is happy, final output is given to the user or to the client. LHR replicate kerasines, yeah, it can two different agents collaborating at a peer level. Okay, so this is one kind of a mechanism or one kind of architecture. Adutha sequential think adu, for example, you know, on a process industry, chemical process industry, there are some agents which are collecting the data from, let's say, furnace and reactor, you know, temperature, pressure data we capture kari clean kari there. There is another agent which is monitoring ASCII parameter we control monitor keller area, and also it is all checking about what is the job which is currently running. You know, another agent is actually giving the output to the control system. Okay, sequential chalayella. Okay, so when we say output, I mean prompt area output is given to the user. A user, it can be replaced by another system. For example, case on a control system motor control system, the valve control system, okay, industrial environment and think, or it can be another agentic network. Okay, basically an output is given to somebody in some form. Okay, so this is sequential. Okay, hierarchical organize agents. Now there is one leader and there is a team for the leader. Okay, each team member has a specific capability. Okay, and the leader coordinates. Okay, so Yellamari Kalyasana, for example, you know, the LA case in theme capabilities, we think of a solution saying that some scenarios, finally the control system, it has to control it. Some scenarios it need not. It has to generate a report and give. Okay, so instead of giving this to this guy, saying that you know, to need silly to neither report can care, neither control system can care, you know, that can be orchestrated by the leader of the team. Okay, in real life, lead team members, the lay AI agents also can be organized that way. So it's a hierarchical architecture. Okay, so there are various ways. For example, specific workflows business operations, you can organize that as a flow. Okay, so these are predefined ones. At the same time, it is open for your design. Maybe you can design it the way how it is required. Okay, so this is what different architecture about AI agents. Typically, corner area, we are putting it together. Okay, real world example saying. Okay, one example already we have seen the marketing campaign, which you know, there are other use cases. Some examples I have mentioned here. For example, let's say a customer support agent. We have come across or we have seen in many places customer support agent. You know, any agent, these three are main: purpose kaya, task kaya, tools kaya pajapadai. They'll identify. Okay, that's where you start in terms of agent design. Okay, customer support agent, the purpose of, you know, real-time support for customer queries and complaints. That is the purpose. Okay, task I can say answer frequently asked question, escalate can complex issue further next level escalate can you know, if imagine it's a e-com platform, you know, it has to process the request for refunds or return request handle can, you know, it's a task. Okay, tools kai pajagodai in interface the flow establish front facing API madri Huggingface transformer to specific model use vector database you know, it is more used in the knowledge base use. I don't have an example for the knowledge base for today, but anyway, so to maybe in RAG retrieval augmented generation. So there we use the vector databases. Okay, so this is one example of how an agent can be put in place and what is it going to look like. Okay, the healthcare diagnostic agent. For example, on the specialist, on the expert doctor sector, So his time is precious. We can think of an agent doing this preliminary analysis of the diagnosis based on certain information and the high level information synthesis the doctor did before he meets the patient, so that it can be more efficient. We can think of building an agent. Purpose provide preliminary diagnosis based on symptoms and medical history. Okay, first symptoms in patient history the database entry heady check medical literature and guidelines map okay, so chronological history and current symptoms chronological then it can refer to the medical literature and guidelines, because these are set of fixed kind of information. It is not going to change very often. The preliminary diagnosis and confidence scoring it can give a basic report. Okay, tools there are specific models, but it's a kind of again language processing model. Clinical, but it is specifically built for this clinical terms, so that it can understand better. PubMed medical database where it has the reference material. So this is how the diagnostic agent can be thought. Okay, so industry predictive maintenance. For example, machineries breakdown it has to predict much in advance so that the lead time to repair can be reduced. Okay, already maintenance ready and high, or even before the breakdown happens, it can the maintenance team can take care of the machine repair. So purpose reduce the downtime by predicting the equipment failure. So definitely you would require a machine learning model, because the specific system in the past behavior you have to build time series models for build then you integrate with your sensor data anomaly detector based on the models, then schedule or raise a ticket. Okay, so this is how we can think about where agents can be there. Okay, so whatever is being done procedurally, what we have seen, procedure automate that is a starting point for automation. Now at the AI capabilities agents think it is not just the automation, it is along with the automation we talk about a purpose driven, autonomous and a software block which can reason out. Okay, so these are the additional elements beyond automation what we can think in AI agents. Okay, so far concepts are clear. Where do we think about agent, and what are the key elements, how to design, and some examples. Any question? Specific to Gemini, does custom gems count as AI agent? I don't know. Custom gems agent is there a well-defined method standard LLM standard for LLM selection? No, there is no well-defined method. Model capability we study. For example, again I'm going to the example of Huggingface. Each model has a model card. Okay, so this provides what is the data used for. I mean, sometimes explicit documentation there, and sometimes because it is all community built. But otherwise, this is one way to study the model, saying that a model capability data. For example, maybe on a purpose to marketing campaign news analysis data to develop a model use it is not going to understand your language. So tell them we sort out when it comes to LLM, large language LLM specific model. LLM it is trained on various things. That's where we say that it is large language model which is versatile. But at the same time, model to model capability much. Me example model how does it deteriorate the output example. So to some extent it is more like from the specification you can understand. To some extent it is more of trial and error and experience. That's how you'll have to select. Example shown. Can this be made collaborate solve unique problem? Yes. Yes. Tell me Ranga pusari question ela collaborate karata musayam ni CrewAI. For example, if I go back to the slide, this is the architecture we saw. Okay, so for example, there are 3 different agents. It is not necessarily it all has to belong to one domain or industry. I am specifically building the specific capability anatolu. I can build a model with, let's say, diagnosis model, diagnosis on the agent build karariya. There can be another agent for hospital management, patient appointment meeting on the agent build karariya. They are 2 different things. Of course, it is coming under the umbrella of healthcare, but they are 2 different purposes. You can integrate, or completely different use cases built as different models. You can integrate, or even more. Yella agent to me on architecture build output another agentic system need to be feed CrewAI. So there are possibilities. Okay, so I'll go ahead then. What I wanted to show is we spoke about frameworks. There are frameworks available. These are the popularly available frameworks. I mean, there are many frameworks. More and more new frameworks are coming up. There are some generalized agents are being launched a few months now. Some Chinese company. Instead of being an LLM, agent is generalized. They have provided. It's very fast developing. So I mean, in the Sari relevance with there will be a framework no way out, right? Okay. So these are the framework. Yet one of them choose framework key features, right? Specialized basic mechanism every framework provides. You can build an agent, you can make them collaborate. So that every framework provides. Apart from that, there are some specific features through use case porthu kolla suit hoyi select kelluva. For example, LangChain it's kind of having a very good repository of tool chain and moreover very sequential LangChain use CrewAI. To me community tools tool collection, right? So you can directly use it. You don't need to develop a tool. Llama index more for the rack pipeline use the knowledge base intensive knowledge base Llama index is done because it has a lot of very specific retrieval mechanisms provided. CrewAI in the example CrewAI it's kind of structured approach. Okay, similarly there are haystack Phidata. I think recently they have renamed it as Agno, but nevertheless it is available as Phidata. I will show examples from CrewAI and Phidata. Some specific use case build we can see some examples. Okay, so this is about availability of framework. You have to choose based on what kind of solution or application you are planning to build. For use case select. Okay, so let's get into the hands-on part. Anyway, so if you have a question, you can interrupt me and we can take it up. Not an issue. Okay, CrewAI. Notion or the naming will differ framework to framework. Concept me kalalna. CrewAI of course there is a agent, there is a LLM. Okay, main there is a concept of crew. Basically I'm a team. So here there is a concept of crew. In general, CrewAI it is one of the popular framework. I mean sorry bro, open source frameworks. CrewAI just install through Python CrewAI install you have the framework, you start building. So there is nothing to be done. Okay, so it is open source. However, it is quite popular. To me, they collaborate with various companies and they provide very specific solutions. So it is kind of becoming popular. Okay. The concept crew concepts. Other agents put together form a crew, which is nothing but a team. Then they perform specific tasks. For example, agent task you provide a toolkit, and finally this forms your crew, and this process, task together forms something called process, and you get the final output. This is the concept. Terms of the CrewAI use there are predefined process flow. I mean, tell a sequence and use case saying, there are other process flow also, or you can even design your own workflow through pipeline define, you can do it. Okay. CrewAI is significant kind of course, as I said, open source. Structured approach can try. I mean, we know दूसरा framework compare करता है वे जो structured है ना वे मुद्दल तुम्हें task define करो, I mean agent define करो, आजा task define करो, then put together, then you kick start your crew. That is how it is going. So it is a structured approach, well suited for let's say तुम्हें अभी scale up करना होना चाहिए, structured approach is better. Okay, lot of built-in tools are there. Quickly, I'll show you the documentation also. Another main advantage CrewAI has ways to collaborate. For example, LangChain tool CrewAI use toolkit it is not very complex. You can easily build a toolkit in CrewAI by adding some specific keywords borrowed from other framework tools use right? So these are the significant points. Okay, so CrewAI documentation I'll quickly show. CrewAI documentation. Okay, so in the official page, there is a picture use. So Kai mainly tools there's a big collection. Okay, there are various tools, be it for web scraping web crawling tools, search tool search of course I'll show one of the example web search tool use but at the same time mainly the knowledge base integrate there are many tools. Okay, some of the tools, for example fire crawl tool it can do crawl and scrape. You can see fire crawl part, scrape part. This itself is a kind of AI enabled tool which has its own capability. Of course it is a paid, I mean free credit, then later you'll have to pay and use. So what I'm trying to say is you can see the kind of integration what you can perform. GitHub search there is a specific tool provided by the framework. Okay, Google Serper search, Google search is Serper framework what search area. We can integrate I think MySQL integrate karwa. Okay, and yeah, YouTube we can integrate karwa. So general purpose whatever tools are required, most of it are provided by the framework itself. Python install you will get along with the toolkit. On top of it, in the specific tool you can build it. Okay, so this is the CrewAI platform. What I will do is code base I have prepared let's say 3 different examples from CrewAI. 3 underscore the last one data analysis I have built based on 5 data. Okay, so I'm just quickly checking the time. 8:30 horse any time constraint for people because charve they could having time hoy.
Approximately
maybe we might overshot by 15 minutes or something. 10-15 minutes.
Okay. My opinions, I mean, complete to you. Any suggestions from anyone?
Anybody time constraint? Otherwise, I'll show all 4. Otherwise, I can cut short and show maybe 2.
15 minutes is okay.
Okay, no issues. So let's start with the 0. First thing first. At Groq API key director me use I mean from my collab secret key API key use coding. However, if you are trying to execute in your local, make use of this .n environment file. It's a text file where you have to put your API key string. You will have to adapt and use it. Okay, so I will show the demo based on collab. Okay, so I'll close this also. Fine. So CrewAI concept to move. First of all, I'll initiate this install. It is going to take time. So parallelly, I will run through the code once by the time it is completing the installation. Okay. So I mean that say concept kind of first one agent build can say Okay, so I'm defining an agent. Okay, agent gami key characteristic in say it should be purpose driven and it should have a specific role. So to me agent define see what you are doing is basically it is nothing but a class, Python class the framework to me you are giving a role saying that case just to give an example mom kai agent build logical thinking agent I have built. Okay, just to demo how to build an agent. I am defining a role as you are a critical thinker. Okay, objective is kai goal to analyze the text and identify any conflicting information. I mean, reasoning ability is let's see if it is really there or not. Okay, so I am configuring the LLM because LLM is the brain of the agent. Okay, I am giving the LLM from Groq. Okay, so it is as simple as saying from Groq, take this model. Okay, so this is where you are thinking about AIs. Maybe prompt kona kenna, tela kona we integrate kenna, API kona kenna, tela person kavala porta vesni. Just Groq umre la model khalyan motu misangudariya. Rest all is taken care by the framework. Okay, so we are abstracting more and more. Elaga on backstory area. Backstory gives the context for the agent to behave in a certain way. Okay, later other examples you are a critical thinker who understands details very well. You can identify conflicting statements or information. So their information the conflict rate to identify I'm giving a backstory to set a personality to my agent. Okay, so this is just an example. You can think like to maybe image processing capability then to me backstory then. That way you can further define. I think it has completed it. So I'll quickly run through the agent define I'm defining a task. Task I'm just defining a chat task. Find if there is any conflicting statement. I'm going to give a variable later as a string. In that sentence, you will have to find if there is a curly brace in the it is a variable. So it will wait for that sentence to come. Okay. Expected output. Conflict say respond with conflict or no conflict. Let task DDM. Okay. Then what I am doing is I am defining a crew. Even if it is a one agent in CrewAI, crew define of course you can directly invoke the agent, but normally this is how it is. Okay. Crew having a single task and single agent, I still have a crew. Then I kick off the crew. Okay, so let's execute step by step. To parallel execute the Kirisawai. Okay, so first I'm defining agent. Sorry, sometimes Google Colab slogan right. I'm saying shared space out there, depending on how it responds, it could be slow. Okay, so then I'm defining a task. Done. Here I'm using the Groq API key like before. Grant access. Okay, so then I'm giving a sentence. A task me already defined get 3. I can now objective set get 3. I need not say the instruction again. What I will say is, for example, repeated me more input me text after a long day at office, I was going back home in a late evening. While I was going home at 8 a.m., I met my childhood friend in a busy street. A sentence period. Okay, so do you see any logical glitch here?
8 a.m.
Exactly. So late evening within the same sentence, I have said 8 a.m. So that's a logical issue. Great response, Didier. Yes, conflict. Yes, there is a conflict here. Okay. So what I can do is respond with the, or rather I can say highlight the conflict. Respond with conflict or non-conflict. Now I'm changing slightly. Highlight the conflict. I'm changing the instruction. Okay, basically task definition I have changed it. Expected output which is here. Now it can say the conflict is late evening and PM. Okay, so then it is giving its own reasoning, saying that couch conflict, it is giving a reasoning out of it. Okay. And another thing, I mean, Subha says, repeatedly execute kerasins. Yeah, Okogala, you know, to concept machana. Conflict same machana dalla. Why the you know how it is responding or how it is describing the conflict manarevi machele. That is because of the nature of LLM. LLM, you know, there is always inherent randomness. Okay, to me multiple time execute kerasins machele. So la mi kai note kenna manasins you know. Grounding facts, you know, it cannot deny, be it from pre-trained data or be it, I mean, later we can see, I mean, feed carry data, grounding facts, it cannot go against that or it will not go against that. Okay, but at the same time, the output format, you know, okay, so to be kona think tellazano to me application think a fixed sentence, of course, we can set the temperature and we can get it, but beyond certain point, it doesn't work also. Okay, so tellamari application repeated the sentence format and syntax you know, it is not going to help. There we'll have to apply some techniques how to get structured data. Okay, so this is the first example. Just a task giving definition machi expect output machi yeah, it is giving in a different way. Okay, first it was just saying conflict and then it is saying like what is the conflict. It is elaborate. Okay, so Ranga, you wanted to remove the late evening. I was going back after a long day in this part. Okay, we can try. Let's see what does it do. Long day at office, I'm returning mini Sangidriya. Let's see if it is able to find the conflict. Conflict arises because 8 a.m. is typically considered morning time, not evening time. It is not about late, it is about evening. 8 a.m. is not evening, it is able to find out. Okay, so this is the first example, of course, simple example to start the first group. Okay, so we can move on to the next one if you don't have any question.
The improve GPU use case run kenaya?
You were putting sorry?
GPU
it will ask you to select CPU GPU. I am running in CPU only. LLM use I'm calling the Groq API. I mean, internally, the CrewAI calls the Groq API for LLM inference. Me had a collab with Gemini space. I'm just using for Python. So the whole CPU. I mean, local run anyway, I'm calling the API for LLM. So GPU is not required.
Okay. Okay.
So same thing you can copy to your local and try. Any other question? We will see. There are more examples. We will see. I mean, the other example, you know, same. For example, it conflict saying him is hanging on a decision. Conceptually, it's a decision. I'm asking left or right, conflict or no conflict. Similarly, another example is there where there is a decision being made or recommendation being made. Okay, fine. So I think there is one more question. Sorry, me the again meeting window screen tool. So I'm not constantly watching it. So it assumes office timing is 8 a.m. No, it is not assuming office time. Rather, it is finding the conflict because of evening and 8 a.m. So the reasoning says a conflict arises because 8 a.m. is typically considered morning time, not evening time. Okay, and it has also said after a long day at office. After a long day, we spend the evening hour. Okay, fine. So to answer your question, specific in it is all depends on the way how it is trained. I mean, we are considering the 70 billion parameter model, so it is very decent. Okay, maybe 3 billion, 2 billion, or 5 billion parameter model, conflict on day. That's where I was saying the quality of output will differ depending on the model what you are choosing. Okay, so 70 billion, it is kind of versatile, so it can easily find out this kind of things. Okay, so I'll move on.
Vishnu, sorry, after a long day at office, can you change day to night? So that should give me a no conflict, right? Night at office. I was going
maybe
back home.
Night office say mostly.
Like night, so we should say no conflict.
Yeah. This statement implies that the narrator has been at office all night, which would mean they were there at least until the earlier of the morning. Okay. However, the next sentence contradicts Smithria. The statement suggests that the narrator was going home at 8 a.m., which means they were not at the office all night, as previously stated. Okay, let's execute again and see. The conflicting statement is in the text. So it is finding as a conflict only. Okay, but at the same time, it is putting in different ways. To me, Radipura Hidi Avariam Tella return Karavigin Radi Firiori, say early morning Firiori in Tekalana. So there is a hole in your logic. Of course, straightforward. After a long day, I was meeting my friend at 8 p.m. in the essence. There is no conflict. Is this because of the instruction? To some extent, it is because of the instruction. I mean, conflict find care in Sangiriya. It is somehow trying to find the conflict. Okay, so just to be sure, let's put it back. After a long day at office, I was going back home, and I will say 8 p.m. At least here, it should not say a conflict. Okay, conflict is found in some other place. Okay, so this will keep going on. Like, to me, having a job there, it will keep going on in different ways. Okay, so we can see other examples where more meaningful information is coming up. Okay, so this is kind of fuzzy. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, it is all without any grounding facts. To me, instruction, my day definition is this time to this time. My evening definition is this time to this time. More and more grounding facts that output will be better. Okay, so I will go ahead. Next, I'm creating two agents to collaborate. Okay, and simple use case on a creative writer. Okay, I'm doing a creative writing. First of all, I will execute this install because it is going to take time. Okay, the agent on the agent, it has to search for information about a topic from internet. Okay, on the agent search information, it will create a particular type of creative writing. Okay, so I can ask in any format. So that is what is the purpose. So in that context, for LLM, I'm going to give a internet search capability by a tool. I'm defining a search tool. Okay, so DuckDuckGo, it's a search engine. Like Google is a sophisticated search engine. This is a basic search engine which they have some APIs to use free credits. So that is what I'm going to use it. Sometimes it doesn't work. Free or moreover, it is a lighter one. It gets into some rate limit and all. If that is the case, I will bring out another typical Google search itself, and I will show you the example. Not an issue. But for now, I will go ahead with using this one. Tool mudula define CrewAI, I'm defining it as a tool. This function I'm making it as a tool. Use own tool set. You can see I'm borrowing it from LangChain community tool. Okay, so Google Server API use करवाइए, but तलगे API की फिर पजे बड़े बनाता हूँ। चिमी यल्ला भी API की नीता काम करे, तो चित्तला कर रही है। LangChain community में they have given the tool for DuckDuck search, DuckDuckGo search engine tool दी है. That I'm borrowing and just wrapping it as a function and giving it to the CrewAI as a tool. Okay, then what I'm doing is me the agent define कर रहे. First content explorer. Okay, to me Gemini use कर रहे. I mean, of course, Groq in comment करी तो रही है. Gemini use कर रहे हैं. Gemini maybe free tire Gemini 2.0 flashlight models it is available. Okay, Content Explorer purpose gather and provide latest information about the topic from internet. I'm not saying what topic. So there a topic to the internet information search backstory for every agent. We'll have to write some back. I mean, it is optional. You'll have to write a backstory so that you will get a precise output. You are an expert researcher who can gather detailed information, gather at least 10 information. Consider you are on this day. Today, I have captured today's timestamp. Sometimes search kartodo, latest information as on that day in search karte. Okay, so if the model is trained, let's say 2024 sometime, tell the datum set latest information they internet of search kiri, tell us we operate karta. So that's why we have to give the context to it. This is one of the grounding factor. You are living in this day. Okay. So the next agent may be creative writing karata. Here I am using the Llama. Again, just to show that two different models, two different agents, it is going to interact. Okay. I'm going to say your role kona define some writing type later on a variable define writer, for example, poem writer or story writer. With the details given to you, you create an interesting poem, story, whatever out of it. Okay, and again backstory sangidre. Tell a chain of event to then I'm accordingly defining two different tasks. Okay, so here you can see for the create writing task, context maybe I'm giving the get details. Meaning, basically, I'm establishing the link. Okay, so then finally, I'm setting up a crew as usual with two agents, two tasks, and I'm saying sequential process one by one. Then carry, finally, I'm going to get the output. Okay, so let's execute and see what does it do. Okay, so I'm defining the agents. Task is defined. Is defined. So, the topic I am asking the story type. What it needs to create. Creative writer. I am asking it to create a story with the topic of Trump tariff. Let's see what does it do. So, okay, we open it. I have just given it. So you can see it is the Content Explorer is first doing its job to find information from internet using this tool. Okay, so to be internally survive, it is generating its own prompt. That's the the kind of main purpose of framework. Mechanism internally, based on that, it is generating prompts. We are not generating. I mean, we are not sitting and writing. We define the framework. I mean, we define a schema and we give the instruction goal purpose. Internal prompt generate. That's what basically it is doing. Okay, so now finally this is the story. Where is it? Content Explorer. I think I'm not scrolling correctly. Wait, I think it would have written the script. Output. Now I can give answer. Give me answer pa. The sequence much execute kitre मतलब यार on डाल के जैसे. Where is the error? I think my limits are hitting. Meaning adaria. Kamnadi Gemini free tier use kelasada me. Vertex it is coming from the Gemini. If it is repeating, I'll try to use the OpenAI and show you the demo. No, I think it is the problem with Gemini. So instead of Gemini, maybe I will try to use this. If that doesn't work, I'll take the OpenAI and show you the demo. Something is not correct. Sorry, give me 2 minutes. I'll try to figure out what is the issue. Or one more thing, what I can do is quickly I will change the other tool. I will try to use it from the next one. Give me a minute. Now I'm going to OpenAI. Should do the job now. I will give for smooth one. I will use OpenAI itself just to avoid the token limit problem. Something is wrong. Okay. What I can do is, example, maybe error correct kari bana do. Yeah, I think it is there. Okay, so it has found the facts and I mean, it is not coming to the file. Yeah, but it is coming in a timeline. Okay, so this is one example of how do we make, sorry, it's here. Story writer. In the spring of 2025, the business climate in the United States was charged with uncertainty and political maneuvering and blah blah blah. So, it has really made a story out of the information which is found from internet. Okay, Trump tariff, I mean, then it has really made a story out of that factual information. To me, alarm says and say date hoye kai nimne se for example, kai announcement kare it wouldn't have changed because those are facts. Okay, it would have only played with the words to make it as a story. Okay, so for I mean, later to me tell try giri savai. For example, to me type machi for example, on a poem you make it as a conversational script. It can do it like fact based, but for your creative writing, you can make it like two different agents collaborating. Okay, so this is one example, and third one, another example. investment advisory which we in workflow create kartam say. For example, we on a stock, HDFC Bank or whatever, SBI stocks and you want an agent system to search for the information, let's say from different sources. Okay, so pre-trained information at use pre-trained information to some extent it can use it for its analytical purpose, but however information about the stock or the company and things like that, we'll have to search from, let's say, various sources and finally build a recommendation. This is what is this flow. Okay, so of course we can see there are various elements. I will start the installation thing. Limitation from sorry, Google Colab, you cannot have multiple sessions open. More than 3 it will not allow. So to be close open. So those are the limitations, of course. Everything is free, so there are limitations. So when it is happening, we can see the structure. First of all, Google search tool I have created as one of the tool. Okay. So for example, Google search on the stock information sufficient. Okay. So for example, I'll show you the Yahoo Finance. The Yahoo Finance, it is a specific, let's say, portal where we get this information about different stocks. TCS. TCS pati information high. Okay. The price information or its financial information or the company reports or this PE ratio and other PB ratio and all these things, the financial indicator information is available in Yahoo Finance. Information or flow use we will have to make a tool out of it. Okay, so first of all, Yahoo Finance, they have their own APIs provided. Okay, I will show you somewhere. I would have imported that also. Install, I would have done Yahoo Finance, Y Finance install gallery. So that is a Python library based on which I am building a tool and giving it to the crew leader. For example, custom tool develop current price information, stock price information pickup company information pickup income statement, historical income statement on a company like historical income statement. Right? So all these things to pull out, I have built some custom tools, and that also I am giving to the crew, to my agent. Okay, I'm defining multiple agent. First, news and information explore pull out I'm defining one agent. Okay, then I am defining another agent. Again, I have tried everywhere with Gemini because to me try free try. If it is getting into a problem, I can launch it with OpenAI, because OpenAI paid versions it will come without any issue. We'll try it with Gemini. If it doesn't work, I will use the GPT-4. Okay, so then I am defining another agent for Data Explorer to be different. Let kolla tool me there company information, income statement will upload karta tool. I am giving it to the Data Explorer. I am giving the News Explorer. I am giving the basic internet search, Google search tool. Then I am defining one more agent for making the analysis. Okay, and then I'm finally making one more agent for expert. The roles accordingly I would have given different role and backstory. Information gather. Then I have told here to their detailed thorough analysis. You will have to build a comprehensive analysis report. I'm asking you to prepare. Okay. Then I'm telling the expert to make a recommendation when there is a stock given. Okay, you are an expert financial advisor who can provide investment recommendation. Accordingly, I have defined the task. The first two are independent, information gather career. Then I am giving the output of it as a context to the third one who is making analysis. Then finally, advice task. Okay, advice task, buy or no buy, decision point. You have to give me the response with reasons elaborated. just buy no buy motu sunnadamo reason sangari sangi elaborate keri sangi kitre. Then I'm setting up the crew as usual, and then I'm executing with the stock name, for example Kotak Bank. Let's see what is it. One more example is there, maybe another 10 minutes almost time. Okay, so the next one is not required. You can try out various possibilities. This is a company stock navy. You can try to execute and see what does it say. Okay, defining the task. Then I'm defining my crew. Okay, so now I'm asking for Kotak Bank. Front. I'm running with Gemini. Let's see. Then I'll enlarge and show more screen full. So you can see the flow. First, data researcher, it is pulling out information about Kotak Bank from Yahoo Finance. Okay, so information in terms of price and information in terms of key ratio, and then income statement, everything is it has pull out. Okay, then news another agent that will pull out news and information research. It is pulling out the information from various sources. Summarize. Okay, then you can see that task is completed. Then data analyst comes into picture. Okay, so it is giving a comprehensive stock analysis report for Kotak Bank. Okay, so now you can see it is all talking about data. Okay, it is not talking only about some conceptual information or whatever. It is all talking about the data. And then finally, you can see the length of the report, like, the amount of information which has gone into the report. Financial expert, what he says is based on the comprehensive cautious okay, and it has listed the reasons why it feels you have to be cautious. Risk identify. Okay, negative financial indicators, then mixed performance. The report analyze. Okay, so based on the price trend and report, it has said mixed performance. PE ratio seems reasonable, but a deeper comparative analysis for the industry peer is required. Information news peers compare it is not a good ratio. So all put together, it is making a recommendation for me. I will show you the files also. Analysis file. Now it has prepared this analysis report with all these information, and it has given me another file called recommendations. Recommendation is same thing in a formatted text. It has provided. However, more details when it is required, you can refer this analysis file where it has listed various information as data points also, including the risk analysis. Okay, finally it has brought into the news and again news development again all putting it together, it has made two different reports for me. So I mean architecture sequence, we are giving various capability. Finally I am asking for a decision point. If not making really a decision, it is telling me what needs to be done. Buy or hold, these are the risk factors. It is able to give me the reasoning. Okay, so similarly, if you want to try, I don't know, Tata Motors. Let's give it one more try, and then we can go to the next example.
So at one time we want like for example we first Kotak Bank now Tata Motors, right?
Design the flow of economy design I'll show you what I'm trying to say. Task okay, one by one can define crew set I have given one go task then I have kicked off once. For example, to loop if you have a list of stock.
Okay.
LIV on a loop on the to keep a those many reports you can generate. Or for example, to list of stock on the CSV file and through the theory read carry one by one gun stock and through shortlisted stock on Amble stock daily watch can daily report generate carry we can see what does it say.
Okay.
Okay, so has it finished? Going on. No buy. Tata Motors buy because of there are profitability, volatility, industry risk. It has found the information mainly from the financial data plus the news and the industry information. Okay, so put together.
Sorry. This is pretty cool. So is it possible for us to say like internet search maybe ignore like for example ignore the Hindenburg report ignore care many facilities
CrewAI. I mean, it is all by prompts. So that maybe to me get the internet search the company details sorry, I'm finding the right place. Yes, here we get latest news and business information from the company. I'm defining a task. Okay, so agent character set news explorer agent here you can give saying that these are the blacklisted sources. Don't consider it will not consider. One second thing the Yahoo Finance there are news, business news is available. Okay, Yahoo Finance gives that API also. I didn't directly use it because I want to go with the internet flow because general story but otherwise Yahoo Finance gives a business specific news that also you can use it. Or internet heading you have to remove some elements you can instruct the agent, but you have to be very specific. Site for the you have to make a list and give it to it. Whatever we are talking specific it can do. I mean generalize flow. Don't consider the information from some unauthorized website. What is unauthorized? It will start reasoning out.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so this is another example. Of course, to me, word of caution. Okay, this agent is telling buy. So, to me, HDFC bank stock. Tell me the reason. Couch
up to date kan up to date kan set economy
up to date information pick list analysis in the price
today many okay,
so it is picking the latest information. What is missing here? Not considering your circumstance, of course. That is there. Assuming that I have some spare money to invest. Because we
are not telling what kind of investment we are doing, whether it's short-term key, swing key, day trading key, specific and moreover, there are a lot of other indicators that it has not considered. Very cool information can based on this a little bit of information maybe we cannot take a major decision.
Exactly. Major we have said analyze this data and make a comprehensive analysis. What kind of analysis to be made? Expert knowledge is not inside this. What it is doing is take a pre-trained information of OpenAI, or Gemini. In the case of Gemini use Gemini pre-trained information how to do financial analysis of a stock train tell a method to analyze tell maybe a correct it is very open. So fine tune that's where we are talking about the knowledge base. Of course, I don't have an example prepared for it. For example, on a financial company, financial advisory firm, if they have their own curated method of performing an analysis, that can be fed as a knowledge to this agent, saying that method parameter then it can do the job better. So what we have done is we have given kind of tools to access the grounding information, facts and figures theory. But analysis we have left it to the choice of LLM. Adela OpenAI thoyes dusra mari bhi analyze karwai. Gemini bhi OpenAI it will analyze in a different way. Okay, so we cannot go by it because there is no expert knowledge really in this. Okay, it is sounding expert. जो jargons use करी नोड analysis and recommendation report create करी appealing and दिखाई. There is no expertise in it actually.
So Telugu knowledge base काय मिलेगा Telugu?
Okay. Okay. Knowledge base that's a different concept. That's why I not included. RAG manan retrieval augmented generation. To me RAG me to me internet search kare we can see. What basically it is telling is, for example, Adatungavi, imagine you have a procedure document in your company to say how to do stock analysis. Create a procedure document. For example, I have some specific combination of 5 different parameters in this stock to be analyzed. Maybe the information overall procedure I'm saying, ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ ಇದಾವೆ ಮೀ ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾರಿ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟೇಷನ್ ಕೆನ್ನ ತೆಗಿನ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಪುಲ್ ಔಟ್ ಕೆನ್ನ ಪ್ರೊಸೀಜರ್ ಉಂಟ್ರಿ ದಟ್ ಬಿಕಮ್ಸ್ ಯುವರ್ ನಾಲೆಜ್ ಬೇಸ್. ಸೊ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಗಿವ್ ಅ ಕ್ಯಾಪಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಫಾರ್ ಯುವರ್ ಏಜೆಂಟ್ ಟು ರೆಫರ್ ದ ನಾಲೆಜ್ ರೆಪಾಸಿಟರಿ and do the information processing accordingly. Okay, so this is one example. Okay, so tell me to me knowledge base kandavai. Another example for knowledge base kona kalwa similar point what I was mentioning, like through a company policy and process we want to build a chatbot. Okay, through a company process or product support to which you want a chatbot product specification or product catalog or company specific process, it is not known to the LLM. To me that you have to convert it as a database. User kai question pusaraski tela poruttu tela repository relevant information pick kerigino to me context kin LLM jeldinno ella question user pusiriya ella relevant information ella 10 chapter say or on the page say kiri didino. Now you tell me the answer that will do a much better job. You are giving the context clearly based on your need. So that is what is the knowledge base, which is one of the mechanism used is RAG, retrieval augmented generation. I mean, that itself is a separate topic. That's why I have not included it here.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so this is about the CrewAI 9:15 here. Okay, one more example. See again. Anyway, we have crossed 15 minutes. Another few minutes, we'll see one more example. Okay, so now Phidata now it is renamed into Agno. Framework. It's not very popular. Okay, very similar structure you see. There is a LLM model and there are tools, there is a knowledge base, there is a memory. Typically any agent will have the mechanism. Names are slightly different. Okay, Phidata advantage of course this also is open source directly use skill advantage easy to start, simpler mechanism crew madri structured to me start Phidata start it's very easy to understand and implement. And moreover for example to me on the specific chatbot develop to me on a POC mari on a MVP demo they have given a kind of playground where locally you can build your agent, and then a browser they have given a web application which will interact with your agent and give the chat UI interface. So that is provided by this framework itself as an additional playground. So use Phidata use karwai. My suggestion, if you are starting, start with Phidata. It's easier starting point. Okay, so we want a example prepare karasi data analyst. Somebody asked about data analysis. So I have prepared a data analyst as an agent. We basically I will show you a file. Okay, so I have this file. It's kind of some sample data I downloaded from somewhere. Student habits performance screen. The student exam score versus their habit in terms of extracurricular participation, internet use quality week social media time spent Netflix time there are various data points put together as a CSV file. Adayala file if I want to build a chatbot to analyze this file, that is what is this use case what I have built, this example. Along basically what a Phidata agent build, I'm going to give some tool with which it can infer information from this data file and give me the answer. Okay, somebody was asking about SQL here. This is almost that. Okay, so I will ask questions in natural language. English questions to fetch the information from the CSV, it will translate that into SQL, get me the information, and based on that information, it will give me the answer. Okay, so that is what is this use case. As usual, I'll start this installation and explain the code. Zero plus. Okay, so to me local once install you don't need to repeat. Google Colab, you'll have to do it every time. Okay, so this is just to map to a file. I mean, more Google Drive file LHS CSV store. I'm giving access to this through mounting. Okay, so that is nothing about the agent. It is more to give file access. It's as a CSV tool. It is coming from the Phidata itself. The framework comes with the inbuilt tool. Basically, on the CSV file, query it's a tool. Okay, so what I'm doing is you can see slightly different syntax, but very similar concept. Ollama model use OpenAI chat use. Okay, so I'll not go with Gemini because Gemini free terms of the model, it does very bad job in terms of translating into SQL. Maybe if time is there and you have patience, I can show you that also. But for now, I'm going with the GPT-4o mini model. I'm giving a name description. At that goal, description. Okay, role is role. That is not changing. Okay, but at the same time, slightly different syntax and your instruction, that backstory there, instruction there. Okay, so I'm giving a role saying that you are a expert data analyst with statistical expertise. You have a very good knowledge in SQL. Okay, then I am saying that you have access to the database through the tool. To tool having database access expertise, SQL expertise use data manipulate carry efficient can query key. These are the instruction I have given to my agent, and then I am basically putting in a loop to be in a chat. Okay, so I think previous maybe in one instance, one go executions here. Here I am giving the memory access also. Okay, so to maintain the continuity across different prompting. Okay, so memory I have given. There is an inbuilt storage mechanism where it will store some JSON format as a file to maintain the memory. So tell option we choose. Okay, the installation is done. Let's execute and see. I'm mounting my drive. To me execute what you have to do is, sorry, cancel. To me execute to drive on a location store path execute.
So Google Colab use Jupyter Notebook use like local. Okay.
Local local path path local
and but the time read SQL tainaki nimna LS use CSV tool. Jupyter Notebook. No, Jupyter Notebook kumla CSV tool kaam kare, right? Or
CSV tool is provided by the Phidata framework. To me, once
okay.
Phidata install this tool is available for you.
Okay.
So it is all coming from the pip install.
Okay.
Okay, so now I'm defining the agent. Okay, so now it is waiting for my question. I'll just ask which database you have. I have access to a database called student habit performance. What is it about? I think it is slow. Okay, so it is comprehending and telling me the Kaigiri, what is it about? I have just asked, okay, one Kai Satam. Then it has identified, it has to read the column names of the CSV file. So then it is giving me data set appears to assess the various factors related to students' habit and their academic performance. How many students? So you can see it is translating my question into a SQL query. Select count of star from the database. 1000 student data say among this area. How many boys? Boys. So for example, Imam say other the Imam we boys many likiraski male many likirasi and kana maybe seeing and kai likiraski. Male female grisata boys girls screen. Okay, I'm just asking how many boys screen possessions here. First, it would have tried saying that boys screen search right. They can't even it would have searched again saying that okay, now you look for male green. I mean, I think here it does directly search for male. Sometimes, for example, it will go for retry. First one try try. So the agent will take care of fine tuning its own way of using the tools. Okay, so I don't remember what are the columns available. For example, let's say study R and exam score correlation. Is there any correlation between study hours and score? So it is raising an SQL query to find the correlation factor. Okay, and 0.83 in computer area. So it is saying there is a strong positive correlation between the study hours and score. How about Netflix time versus score? The question for us again, I'm not really trying to put the context for us. Just to me again, on a data analyst here, data question. So it is saying there is a negative correlation, but weak negative correlation. Okay, it can go on. For example, data slice carrying heady there. For example, boys score maximum say girls average score compare you can keep going on. Okay, like it's a simple file, like a simple file with 10 or 15 rows, I mean columns with 1000 data lines. Whereas if you have some complex file, for example, I have tried with some data related to, let's say, some stock analysis data where I have given, let's say, CSV file with 1.2 million records. It can work. Okay, what it basically has to do is it has to translate your query into SQL, pull out the data based on whatever outcome is there. It has to synthesize and answer to your question. And it has to understand the context of the question in sequence by the memory. Okay, simple data analysis chatbot. You can give the file any CSV file and you can do it. For example, same thing if you want to expand, like the SQL CSV tool, you have to find, let's say, MySQL integration on the tool. That's it. Otherwise, your solution is already there. Okay, so it will be more sophisticated. CSV maybe SQL carrying pull out MySQL integration data, you have entire database access with high capability. Then it can really do wonder. Okay, so these are the examples what I had prepared. I mean, different scenarios we have seen, and That's it from the presentation as such. Any specific question?
The one question. So तुम्ही आता एल्ला agent अवी as a SQL expertise con काम केर मिनी संगिरिया, right? That's why it's generating like SQL queries, and based on that, it's generating the results. Like, for example, if we want to act the agent as a BI expert, like to generate dashboards and other charts, आम्ही त्याला दुसरा मारी prompt सांगूया.
Prompt na. See, what you have to understand is, I'll go back to the same example. Okay, so here, I mean, one side, we are telling the agent that you have SQL expertise. What we'll have to also see is the tools what we have given. Okay, so a tool to me, of course, to me once install tool documentation, it would have explained the purpose of tool. For example, I mean, if I go back to the presentation, I mean, tools there, a toolkit, for example. Okay, here I have given a tool which is helping to pull out information in a way from CSV file. Okay, and there are tool on the description. So the agentic framework will organize the information in such a way that your agent can understand the purpose and capability of the tool. Okay, then when you ask a question, it will figure out what tool to use. Tell a comprehension, you are leaving it to the reasoning abilities of your LLM. It is not, for example, LLM saying different tool column head up row tools whereas me prompt tool use number tool kit to all context to use similarly, you have to give a tool, for example, to me dashboard generate let's say you have some Python based tools which can generate dashboard, you have to give it as a tool to the agent saying that you have this tool with this capability. You don't toolkit the tools at the capability use information agent will take a call to question report generate tool use so that's where the autonomy comes into picture.
So we should know the right tool to use.
No. You should make your tool in such a way that it can be understandable for the agent. Understand how so tool agent to understand basically tool on the documentation tool they prepare a documentation. I mean, I don't have time, otherwise I can show you. CSV tool implementation basically they would have prepared a big set of documentation to say what is the capability.
Okay.
So you can see read CSV file, use this function to read so and so argument return they have given a documentation. This you are giving as a tool to the LLM, and LLM understands the tool's ability by this, and it chooses the right tool based on your question or prompt.
Okay.
So to me, on a complete toolkit, it's a toolkit. You can see the CSV tool is a toolkit. It's not single tool. There are at least how many? Some 5-6 tools are there. Okay, so individual tool in a documentation, this is inbuilt. So to me, one tool you have to give this level of information, then it can do. See, same thing for a specific project. What I have also done is on the CSV, data pull query, it has to generate some graph. I gave Python ability. Python script generate query, the Python through on the graph generate I have done it for a project.
Okay.
Karthik question, if using knowledge base, then tool is optional. In a way, yes. To me, Phidata or even Chrome, they have given inbuilt knowledge base mechanism. So tella deeder emnase tumi taniyan tool kerta vesni. What I have seen is the knowledge base by inbuilt framework, it will not be very good response. Tumi tella fine tune kerta bodula you can build a tool, custom tool to work as a knowledge base. So telamari jasnase tool becomes a knowledge base, or tool becomes the access point for knowledge base. Inbuilt framework comes with the knowledge base use kerasa tool tevani, just for the purpose of knowledge. If you want special ability, you need to build a tool.
The multiple tools use karaya.
Karwai. Ata ellamamu sevi in example musi on the tool kitum the tool use karayalla. I mean, me dusra bara off keri thoru ullare mostly. No, read CSV mutum disable kettire, but otherwise it has multiple things. It can get the, I mean, it can query the information. It can get the number of or the list of CSV, or it can read the columns. There are multiple individual tools in the same toolkit.
Okay, but illa we CSV tool many use kariyanada. Le mari angunda tool pata.
Kerwai. So we just a kai ke namna sense for example, yada kamade adutha tool dilation.
Okay.
So to be multiple tool diya sense it can make a decision, but don't mix the tools.
Okay.
Meaning the ambiguity rahathamari tools adavadu same purpose adu avunda example seyga. News and information comes from Yahoo Finance also, but news and finance gavi me tool kirreni. Instead I have said look into internet. If I have given news and information through Yahoo Finance one tool and then from internet another tool manedi tela ambiguity avadedi tela kai choose kareni tega decision ganjade through all control kartamsna teuchi overlap rahavana tool karatod. Okay, so if you are mixing too many things, better split as multiple agents than putting too many things for one agent.
Okay then. Okay.
That you will get a better response.
Okay then. Understand.
So the one last question, just curious to know, like if atami like Excel file read chart generate kanamna, like what kind of tools, or where do we like find those tools? Like anga kai tool use kanamnate ami kona kalaluna.
First we into midala framework kai tools any savo. Okay, so framework inbuilt the CrewAI documentation there. Similarly, I think I've closed it. Phidata documentation tools right. Phidata easiest starting point, but very less tools. Not many are there. CrewAI better tools are there. LangChain has lot of collection. LangChain framework high, community tools high. Okay, so to the variety of tool pajana LangChain explore karwai. The LAMP tools have identify it is easier to bring that tool into your CrewAI easy and because just the function in CrewAI tool much. Okay, if nothing is there, you can develop your tool.
Okay.
Custom tools are possible in every framework.
Okay, so at the CrewAI, like most popular many another, like what is it like? Why is it so popular? Like LangChain also has lot of tools and other.
LangChain initial I mean, I think the timeline correct. LangChain came much before the CrewAI. Okay, CrewAI. Okay, LangChain more of community tools. CrewAI promote karan plus collaborate karan. News just wiki series technical news or CrewAI it will keep coming. Okay, so they have collaborated with some tech companies to make their specific agentic framework hosted or compatible for a particular platform. So that way they are enhancing and making it. I mean, it is becoming popular.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Fine then. So
one question, Vishnu.
You mentioning that the agents are still.
Hello. Yeah, Vishnu, Karthik on a question to chat now. If using knowledge base, then tools for
already Sangidri,
okay.
I mean, we have spoken about it. Any other question from the YouTube live?
Quick question. Ata CrewAI use keti onta output khalli. Tela output avi maybe can I give it as an input to say LangChain?
You can.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, basically, CrewAI. Okay, I have to go to this technical point. If you see, result there. It's a Python output. Okay, I can build another class object from LangChain and I can integrate just as a Python integration. That's it.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other question? I think it's quite late.
Yes. It's a great session. Quite deep dive. Very interesting.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah, it's a very great session. I think Lamari sessions, like even if you repeat the same session, like after a while, Angangu better understand how many hours. But yeah, it's really a nice session. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for attending.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Vishnu. Mugai konni kalana ilapati, but I think I got a very good idea of agent or LLMaski. So awesome, excellent work. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. And of course, try Girisava. I mean, not just these examples. Anyway, the link right. We later try Girisava. Plus explore. Like I don't know. Somebody was asking about collaborating on a specific project. So you can think in that direction. On a problem statement, our understanding is always better. Okay, so all the best, and maybe the AI series we are completing it with this session. Of course, there are specific sessions required further in AI. Do let us know. Maybe I will put the mail ID again. Yeah, so this is our mail ID.
Sourashtra, prompt engineering or RAG, maybe RAG we need to have a session. Or Imam Angu deep take CrewAI. We'll see, we'll take opinion and do that.
Sure. RAG we can plan for us because RAG itself is, I mean, it's tricky concept, so it will take time. But that in the include CrewAI, that will be too heavy. I think we can make it. And further get ready for the cloud sessions. So I think today, weekday healthy less attendance. However, to me inform through friends and Jodo if somebody is getting or planning to learn cloud, it will be a very good starting point. We will start from 7th of June onwards, and it's going to be a series. For now, we have planned the first 2 sessions, and based on the response and what kind of expectations are there, we will further plan out the future sessions also. Okay, so register yourself. To me, register we will consider you for the next cloud series also. However, if you have not registered so far, you can register. The registration form we have circulated already along with this meeting invite. Okay, so look forward for more and more sessions in different technology. If you have some specialization, do let us know. We can arrange for a session where you can share your knowledge. Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks to everybody.
Okay, thank you. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.